This is the now.
It says you're live on the screen. The phone, Siri, as a reminder. What's up, y'all? Back after a little bit of an absence. Kevin wasn't here, but it was kind of like none of us were here to some people. It was kind of sad.
I'm going to skip the ad. Is it okay?
Yeah, skip the ad.
Okay. We didn't get
I'll
paid
chip
for
in
that.
the 0.14 pennies.
I got this one.
All right, appreciate you.
I wasn't here last week. I got that.
Oh, and we are good.
We are good.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. I know we got some people in here already. Is that a? It's not even a glass that's half full or half empty. It's just empty. Who do we have? Is AGH? I'm worried about him.
He's not here yet.
He hasn't
but
made it back
he's
yet?
around.
Okay.
There was a sighting. There was an
be
AGH
here.
sighting.
All right.
Sort of.
Well,
I didn't actually see him. I saw his name.
yeah, no, he was mixing it up on the high school
he commented.
WCAC Spectacular. It's our first show of Tuesday night. Our DJ is Sir Mix-a-Lotting it
They'll
as
all
we
be
speak.
flooding in here in a minute.
Wearing a snazzy Blessed Sacrament football head coaching. Where's the HC? Head coach.
Well,
you got some space.
I got the PH.
You got okay. You do
Peter
have the
Haley,
PH.
and I'm good.
Just saying, there's some real estate there, for sale. Maybe throw a little something our way.
Well, they don't really. You don't get. It's not like a line judge. It says like LJ.
I know, but
like back judge or.
it's prime real estate. A lot of people see it. A little Tim Strachan advertisement. I mean, you're out there now. You put it out.
Jay, just trust me on this.
I've come to
Just trust me on this
I've
one.
come to the realization that I'm big enough. I could have advertising on me right now.
Yes. Yes. And I think you're a fool
Buddy,
for not being
between
sponsored.
between the three of us, a banner could be. If we go arm in arm.
Like if we're water skiing, is that what you're talking about?
No.
Or, okay.
No.
I was trying to picture it, but
I was not.
Okay, all right.
Neither was Steve.
I love it. We're gonna go with a little bit of. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Tuesday night here in Kensington, Maryland, and Basement Podcast Studios of First Amendment Sports. On behalf of that same broadcast company and of Hogs Haven, this is the Audible. It's after the whistle. He's gone. Oh, it's downloading. That's okay. That was Boy George. He's Tim Strachan.
We got to rip this Band-Aid off, boys. It's been a little while since we talked about it, but we got to face it, man.
Come on. I know
We
you
got to
want to
face it.
What do you got?
We suck.
There you go. Not doing his show last week
We
killed
sucked.
him because that's all he just went. You know what? It just got. It
I
has
just
to be
want to
said.
come on
Just
and
wanna
say it.
I know. Well, and now
And officially, you can say it right now.
officially you can say it.
We did. We suck.
He's Kevin Ricca.
And I agree we suck. And I also agree that, listen, cutting Jay loose was bound to happen. We knew this for a long time. He overextended his stay by the way the games is played, by the way the rules are for this league.
Yeah.
But it didn't change one damn thing about us for the better or for worse. Just something that had to happen. A little finger pointing on the way out the door from some of the guys up top, and we'll get into all that. But I'm happy to be here with true Redskin fans who check us
Yes.
out. We're all here together, and we need each other at this
Can't
moment in time.
any part of the Redskins, the football things that end the way football things end. It seems like no matter what it is for the Washington Redskins, whenever we're dealing with a situation that everyone knows is going to have a bad ending, we always choose the terrible sitcom ending where it's like your crazy aunt once removed in the basement and you want her to leave, but you don't want to ask her to leave, and she doesn't want to live there anymore, but she feels like she has to get kicked out. So it's like wacky zany things start happening, like people calling fake field goals twice in a row. For example, Marty Schottenheimer. Going all the way back to Marty Schottenheimer being undermined by Vinny Serrato. We never ever do, and that it's every single example. We could do the whole example of Dan Snyder's existence for you, and it would all work. But the Jay Gruden firing, it's a non-event. It's a non-event. And let's just parse it out real fast. talk about the news side of it.
It
The Washington
may-
Redskins.
It may have even just been sped up by Jay Gruden.
Sure. Well, that's what I was just saying. It was the manner in which we allow these situations to become ones where the outcome, long known by everybody involved, now has to be effectuated by some weird subplot, where Jay Gruden has to be like, well, all right, if I start a guy who hasn't played since last December, hasn't played a single down for us yet, instead of the rookie that everyone seems to love, maybe that'll do it.
Yeah, and Jay always held true to that, to the
Yes.
best of his abilities, while maintaining fat stacked pockets, and he's now out of this mess.
Good for
And
him.
You know what? He'll be somewhere, whether it be Oakland, Las Vegas, or somewhere
Where
else.
is he? Name where he goes next.
Where Jay Gruden
Yeah,
goes next?
where's he going to work next?
Oakland.
You can't take Oakland. Where's he going?
I mean, does he want to go back to South Florida with this Miami situation?
Oh, that's my sneaky answer. First of all, he should do it right now. God, he should do it right now. He should be the offensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins this weekend. I would love that. That would be gangster, and I think everyone would love it.
Mr. Fat Stacks rolls into Miami with so many millions from Danny Boy. And after dealing with all that, it was well earned, sir. But getting that extension for the first time under Danny Boy and still busting out of here. I know they released a video. Hey, man,
Smoking Jay.
I think it was a cigarette, but others tell me differently. My experience leads that to anyone else's opinion, and I don't
In
mind.
my opinion, that was an old-looking video. It was old as old.
Oh no! See, he
was
lost a bunch of
old.
weight 2 years ago. I was trying to tell you, you
It
got to
was
keep up.
old,
You got to
yeah.
keep up with the Joneses, dude.
The
He hasn't been that
quality of the
skinny but
video's
once
old.
in 10 years.
I mean, even iPhones shoot better video than that. Come on.
Well, anyways,
it was the 80s sitcom I was just talking
it's
about.
exactly what it
Standard
was.
definition.
And every 80s sitcom deserves a doppelganger that was hippie snuggling on a sidewalk with no shoes on.
That
after
was no
crushing one to the
doppelganger. That
face.
was him.
I
That
know
was
it was.
definitely him.
I know it was. I just didn't like the hippie snuggle. It was a bit odd.
But football coaches, I think,
like
are the
you've never
most
hippie snuggled?
susceptible.
No, I'm not a hippie snuggler.
Football coaches are the most susceptible to having doppelgangers because your average football coach throughout the country, on average, you take a slice of Americana, it's a guy that looks like a lot of guys.
Ken?
I'm just saying.
I, at Wheaton Plaza, get called Sean McVay on the regular.
it's
I knew you were going to hate this,
unbelievable.
but you were there with me the one time at Annie Ann's after I got about 13 pretzels with extra frosting, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
They were like, Coach McVay? And I was like, listen, you're going to upset my friend.
It's
Please
true.
take it easy.
It's true.
Yeah, it's either him or one of the Ryan brothers. It just always happens.
I say Rex is better than Rob. So
Keep your feet out of this one.
Redskins have a new head coach.
Yeah, they do.
It's Bill Callahan, but the Jay Gruden era is over, and I think it's just worth, if we're going to start putting nails in coffins, he was the longest tenured head coach under Dan Snyder. We were all ecstatic when he was given an extension. Not necessarily because we were in love with Jay Gruden, but we were in love with the idea of Jay Gruden. The guy who could stick around, maybe cause some stability to happen.
Normalcy?
Normalcy to happen, cause that you could potentially jumpstart it by it's like two wires being stuck together in the hopes. And listen, this thing was over 6 weeks ago, so it's totally anticlimactic. There's so many other worse things. This is like another thing the Redskins do terrible. A lot of teams, this is like a thing, and in professional sports, you fire the head coach who's on his way out. A spark is lit. An organization takes a turn.
No.
That's not happening here. The Redskins, when they should have fired Jay Gruden or parted ways with Jay Gruden, they could have potentially gotten a piece of that. But since that should have happened 6 weeks ago, we've turned into one of the worst professional sports franchises on the planet. And we were kind of
It's a
already
mess.
almost that.
Doo-doo.
And it's
a
worse now.
Mess. It's an absolute
Yeah.
mess. And it starts with Dan Snyder, and it ends with Dan Snyder. And what the hell do you do about that?
Well, if Dan Snyder was half a man, he'd stand up in front of this fan base right now while we were at our worst. I've been an optimist. You guys that have checked us out for the last 4 years understand. I've been on the optimistic side of most everything and been very hopeful. I've knocked that off as far as this season goes. And what I want to happen as a true diehard who loves them, I love the boys in the field, can't talk about the rest, is Dan Snyder to address the fan base? Is Dan Snyder to take the questions? Is Dan Snyder to be the owner? Is Dan Snyder to take responsibility for the situation? And when they asked, why isn't he here? And they said, Bruce Allen said, because I am. Well, that's not good enough.
Nope.
And it never
He
has
sends
been,
out his snake.
and it never will be.
He sends out a snake.
Chief
It's
bullet
rat.
taker. I call it the most impermeable substance on the planet. It's Bruce Allen. He absorbs everything that is aimed at Dan Snyder, and he does it with a smile on his face. And I think now that we're in the swampy part, we can parse the swampy parts out. What do you got?
I asked you guys like 2 weeks ago, like, how does Dan Snyder wake up in the morning knowing that this city hates him? And you guys said he doesn't know, and I thought you were crazy.
I know.
Until today.
He doesn't.
I
know.
don't think you're crazy. I don't think he and Bruce are in any sort of reality.
Ivory
Either
Tower.
that or this is just complete bullshit that he's dishing, and he
Well,
knows
can
that.
I-
we
Well, it's
know
both.
it, and he
It's-
doesn't
it's
give a crap.
absolutely both.
T,
I mean-
can I? When we talk about the words that he said, all he said a lot of words, and they literally fell on deaf ears the world over, which is the most interesting aspect. There's nobody. See, we're from Washington D.C. I know some folks on here are from out of town. We're used to people, providing a couple different versions of the truth and selling it. But in politics, you actually have bases of people that are willing to believe this guy or that guy. What Bruce tried to peddle has no home. There is no Redskins fan that is so blinded as to hear Bruce Allen say that our culture is great and that we have pieces that can win. Nobody believes it. And if they believe their own stuff, that's the biggest possible sin of all, because I think that there's nobody that believes it except for maybe them. And if they actually do believe it, first of all, that's the most hopeless scenario you could possibly imagine, is if Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen
That's what
believe
it is.
That's what that is. But if they're not believing it, then they have to be stopped. And we get one step closer to it, because that press conference, Kevin, first of all, it evoked a guttural response from every sane individual with just a reasonable grasp of reality,
Who understands how it feels to be lied to at a point in time when we need answers, and to have this stuff brushed under the rug. Listen, we played the culture club here because I could have sworn, because when he said we have a damn good culture, I'm certain that he meant to say culture club is damn good. Because as the karma
They are damn
chameleon that he is,
He didn't have a reason. He had purpose.
that complete
Worked it in.
piece of garbage press conference that was the most undermining. I mean, it was like someone spit in my face. It was like someone poured a $14 warm draft beer at the freaking FedEx
shit on
Stadium
our house.
down my leg and
shit on
told
our
me it was
house.
Shit
raining.
on our house, Bruce.
He shit on my house.
Hey, listen, real quick, guys.
Dan
Give me
and
1
Bruce
second.
shit on our house.
Karma Chameleon, if I listen to your lies, would you say, I'm a man without conviction, I'm a man who doesn't know how to sell a contradiction, you come and go, you come and go. Loving would be easy if your colors were like my dreams.
Like my dreams.
This piece of goddamn crap sat up there and tried to tell us that it was hold on, about the culture. It was our fault for selling our tickets to the secondary market, was his number one answer.
Oh, that's always good. Blame the customer.
And that's what he did.
Yeah, no, that
And
always works well
and listen,
in business.
we're all diehards here, but we all know that my man sitting right here, Ken Marangola, has spent a wealth of Sundays over the last 15 to 43 years of his life
Wealth of wealth.
there. And that piece of crap is going to tell him what our culture is. I was offended by what our culture is as a season ticket holder until I was 25 years old, who still adores the product on the field, however bad or good that may have been. But what's going on in that front office? You're going to tell us what the culture is? You're going to control the whole experiment? You are in charge of all this shit?
Question number one: why is your best player hate the culture of this team and not playing right now? I mean,
How about, do you know what
Really?
the F culture means? Are you understanding what's happened to our
I do not
stadium
think that
for the
word
last 4
means.
home games?
You keep saying that word. I
That
don't think
culture, you know what that culture is?
means.
That's the stand shaking. That is after your dad was done coaching, and that culture was great, by the way. But when we were in those stands, and it was shaking at RFK off Minnesota Avenue, and we were going bonkers. That culture was in the fabric of our livelihood, and it has been just ripped from our grasp.
And you know what is another up there on the top 3 list of sins of Bruce Allen is he literally makes me wish we had Vinny. Like, that to me is putting him in the category that I can't even imagine was possible. And that's a great question for Redskins fans. Who would you rather have? Give me Vinny Serrato. Vinny Serrato didn't say the things that Bruce Allen. By the way, these are the two people we have to compare. They're the only two guys in the Dan Snyder era who have led our franchise.
Marty for 1 year. Marty for
Marty
1
for
year,
1
which
year.
has
No.
that's come up a bunch lately.
No, Vinny was at the Comfort Inn
He
down the
was.
street, with like
Took
a
him to
red
the Comfort
phone
Inn,
by the bed.
tucked him in, pulled out the red phone.
He was
pumped
never
it in.
disconnected.
I remember that.
That's why
whole-
Marty was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Marty would like come into Dan's bedroom at night and be like, Are you talking to Vinny? You are talking to Vinny Serrato right now. You hang up that phone.
The cowardice of Daniel Snyder right now. We always wanted him to be quiet and back off. Right now, the cowardice of him is so evident to me. I understand. We all know what the deal is with him. He doesn't. We talked about Ivory Towers, the cowardice to not come out and address this fan base in some light, some way, shape, or form. Tony Wiley busted that a couple weeks ago, and you said something's going to happen bad.
Well, it's getting worse and worse.
Because it's so embarrassing to try and take them and point at Jay Gruden and have Bill Callahan, who apparently they were at odds now. That's just come out. The Jay stuff comes out. Everything is such an assassination of character besides those two. Apparently, we're just left to do that. And they're left to sit up there in Ivory Towers and not have one damn concern about the peasants, the peons, the season ticket holders, the people that care.
It's all good down there.
Yeah.
That's why
We were in first place, he said. We were in first place last year. We were 6-3 in
Yes.
first place. How do you take 1 week out of 170 weeks?
Nothing to see here.
I only see
Keep
two
moving.
possible paths here. One is, again, that they actually believe this, and if that's the case, man, it's the worst. But the other possible thing is, to me,
That's a real possibility.
it's a real possibility. Can't sell it short. But this is just weird. To me, this is getting into weirdness. Now, that weirdness, like we said, could be reality. But do I think Dan Snyder understands that he's one of the most hated men in his own city? On some level, I don't think he can fully escape that. Do you think if he really can honestly...
He can't.
He can't. Well, I don't think so. I don't think so, T. I don't think he can.
I'm starting to believe that you guys are right, but I just don't understand how you could be in that small of a bubble.
Well, let me ask you this then, because this point was brought up today. I read it somewhere, and I can't imagine because I read everything. They said Joe Theismann, Sonny Jurgensen, Clinton Portis, just former Redskins that are, beloved Redskins that are in his ear, Santana Moss, guys that he trusts, guys that he loves, guys that have direct contact with Daniel Snyder. Why aren't they telling him blah, blah, blah? And I listened for a second, and I thought, that's interesting. It's an interesting point.
Yeah.
They've all been granted carte blanche at FedEx Field since the Daniel Snyder era has happened. They have all been fat cats living large, and that I think it's an unfair comp to pull that character of those four men who have been treated like gold by Daniel Snyder since we've been here. I think he has surrounded himself to the point with yes men and then treated them with this, a little something there. I mean, Clinton Portis went broke a couple years back. We haven't heard a damn thing since. And now he's doing reporting every year in the preseason. Can you imagine what that check is per game?
Dan Snyder's taking care of
course
some
he
guys,
is.
and I got
So
no
it's-
problem with that at
Right.
the end of the day. And
But those are still yes men. Unfortunately,
Of course they
it
are.
doesn't change the fact
they
that those
do
are
not
yes
have
men.
jobs tomorrow. If they say
Right.
any of the things we're saying, they're not working for the places they're working. That's a fact.
They're chilling in the owner's booth. They're eating large. They're doing whatever they want. They're still a part of it. They don't want to sit there and say, you have got it. And guess what? Joe Theismann was here for a part of it, but we all know Joe. We all know Joe's made a few choices
Yeah.
over the years that aren't exactly savory in the family-type Redskin scenario. So I don't believe any of that crap. I do think that makes him think he's okay. I think that's part of the ivory tower. If Joe Theismann says it's all right, if Sonny Jurgensen says it's all right, I mean, you get Sonny after 7 drinks these days.
It's not all right.
Good luck translating.
None of this is all right.
This is our future.
Is all right.
And it's been
Any
tampered with.
Joker,
Long enough.
Theismann or not, who tries to sell you that it is all right, is an idiot.
And
Well, at
nothing
least-
against those guys, T. I'm just using that as a comp.
At least he
For
said
the
that Trent
other
wasn't coming
side.
back.
Yeah.
He didn't have to say that. I was at least happy that even he would. You're trying to figure out what will this group be. What are they willing to admit?
Dude.
What are they willing to cop to?
Dude, now you're pulling splinters out of a log.
I'm just saying. No, I mean everyone does the dance. Everyone wants to. Please the.
Yeah, we'll just show them a little of that, and that should be fine. Now come back and let's get cocktails, and we'll figure out who will coach next. Like it's a fantasy football coaching situation.
I mean, listen.
Who the hell's want to go? Who wants to come here and coach?
Nobody
this
wants to come here and coach, except you'll always find someone because there's only 32 jobs. So
team? You always find someone.
yes,
Willing
always
to
find
accept
somebody.
some S for a paycheck.
Who the hell who's worth a shit is going to want
Okay,
to come
so-
work for this man?
So that's the last part of it, T. And let's
these
parse
two
that
men-
in
these
two.
two men.
Let's put the who would want it part on an opinion because I do want to talk about that. But before we get there, I want to have like one moment of real football talk with you guys, and that is we're gonna get a new coach. Is there anybody that you want to be the next head football coach of the Washington Redskins? Let's have like that briefly. Let's let it shine through.
I do.
What do you got?
There's someone that I adore, that I would love, that I would feel bad because I think his future is so bright. But forget about Daniel Snyder and his
exactly. Forget about that.
ridiculousness.
Who do you want
Talking
coaching
about
your
Kevin
team?
Ricka, there's a man that played the quarterback position from H.D. Woodson here in Washington, D.C., went to Marshall, had a broken leg while his lineman carried him to the huddle, had a stint in the NFL, didn't last as long as everyone else thought he was. He get into the coaching game. He has been reared and brought up by one of the coolest cats in town, Mr. Kango himself, Bruce Arians. Byron Leftwich is a tough-as-nails cat who has a huge future, a gigantic brain, a guy who's proven it on and off the field, a D.C. guy, a true diehard, a Redskin at heart, and that's a guy that I think could be the guy with the help from a non-Bruce Allen. I mean, Daniel Snyder's not going anywhere, but he's not going to come into this mess. We all know that it starts up top, and we'll get to that, but if you're asking me about a coach, I think Byron Leftwich, learning and training on the job under Bruce Arians and everything he's done in D.C., everything he's done as a quarterback, badass. Playing with injuries, and he was just as tough as nails. They love his toughness as a coach, too. He is a no-nonsense guy. That's the type of cat that we need to have, and Byron Leftwich is the guy that I've seen, that I've read about with all these crazy names that DC rallies behind and might be able to get the job done with maybe a Louis Riddick type cat running.
I would love, first of all, Louis Riddick.
Somebody
is my
has to
dream job.
be in that spot.
But the Louis Riddick job isn't open right now.
I know that.
Byron Leftwich's job is. Because it ain't going to be Bill Callahan
the
next
question
year.
you asked me was about a coach, and I hate that for Byron Leftwich, that he would have to start his career underneath that regime because... But if anyone can pull it off, it's Mr. DC, Mr. Tough as Nails. I mean, has anyone ever seen a quarterback with a broken leg have his lineman carrying him to and from the huddle?
No.
Has he performed that way? That's the type of guy that I believe in because I know what he's done as a coach afterwards. So thank you for letting me get all fired up about Byron Leftwich.
Byron Leftwich
but I love him.
Has my vote.
But I love him.
T, do you got a guy?
I don't.
That's good. That's also a very good answer. Would you be
It's all a little too new.
Then let me ask you this.
I mean, I don't even know who's...
Do you want a coordinator or an NFL coordinator? Or would you rather have an NFL coordinator or a top college coach, head coach, in general?
I would say I want an NFL guy.
Coordinator?
Only because...
I'm glad you said that.
Only because...
Me too.
I'm done with
you
this
need
Lincoln
somebody.
shit.
You need somebody. As long as Daniel Snyder's here, you need somebody who understands how the NFL game is played. Because if you don't, then the Daniel Snyder and his minions will overtake you. They won't let you grow. They won't let you be what you need to be. You need to have a savvy guy who understands the NFL to come in here and navigate this shit show.
Yeah.
Someone's got to take this from bottom to top.
By the way, by the end of the season, Kevin O'Connell will have gotten some coordinator experience. I guess they're saying one of the reasons why he wasn't a factor in the interim head coach was because they wanted to put play calling and head coaching on him at the same time. But he's going to be play calling.
And let me ask you this: because of all the sexy head coach picks, and because Kevin O'Connell is fitting into this whole thing about the guys that have left here, if you're Jonathan Allen or Deron Payne, and they're like, guess what? All this crap you guys have had to deal with, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to have the assistant offensive coordinator be the new head coach, and he will lead you guys to that. Like, wait a minute. Hold on a second. We're the future. They are. Those two are the future. I don't want that. I don't want that.
We are beyond that.
We're beyond that, though, Ken. We're beyond that with this guy.
Should we shut Payne and Allen down? Just shut them down. Keep them healthy for next year. Now we're getting to we're transitioning from the who would we want to the why would anyone come here part. Because that's a very
I
real
answer
part.
that question without the why would anyone come
Of course.
As a Redskin fan,
Without
as
a
a
doubt.
diehard, as someone, and listen, there's another name out there. Eric Bieniemy has learned under Andy Reid.
I don't like him as much.
And I'm
because
okay.
of that.
I'm okay with that. But I like what Andy Reid has done, and I
Sure.
love him as a mentor. And Eric Bieniemy was nasty as a Colorado Buffalo running that triple option. He was a sick football player, and he's been in this league. He's the offensive coordinator
I
for the
know.
most dynamic offense. I don't want the most dynamic offense. I want a football team that can compete in the NFC East, bang heads, be physical, and win games.
I'd rather
low-scoring
Leftwich over
games
Bieniemy.
right now. Yeah, me too. That's why I went nuts on
Yeah.
Bieniemy. I mean, on Leftwich.
Good
I
guy.
love him. I love him. But
His-
I'm
his
done with all these retreads.
donuts make
I'm
you
done
go
with
nuts.
any Lincoln Riley. Stay where you. He said he didn't want to take the job. We don't want you.
I don't want
We
any-
don't want you. You can't come and fix this.
No.
Stop it. We need a man's man, a DC man, a tough man, and a guy that's proven it on the field. I do believe that. You pair Doug Williams up with Byron Leftwich, and listen, you're talking about leadership, toughness, and badassery all the way around, and that's what we're going to need to pick ourselves up off the mat. And that's what we
if
do.
James Brown was available, the soul man, not the DeMatha man.
Yeah, I'll take them both.
Both good men.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Let's see. We got
It's hot in the hot tub right now,
an
brother.
amazing,
In the hot tub.
thrilling.
Gonna kiss myself. Ha! Had to.
Do
Couldn't
it.
help.
It's a do it.
When Eddie Murphy takes off that robe and dips his toes in, it's one of the funniest moments of SNL. Because we have to talk about that, because otherwise we're left to preview a Dolphins versus Redskins game this week. So part of where I was going with that cookie cutter head coach look that Bill Callahan has, like the least sexy head coaching change in the history of head coaching changes, for a team that already no one cared about. They just made people care less.
Hold on. We're going to run the ball more with our horrible run offense, and I need a glass of warm milk. And I love Bill Callahan and everything he's done, but really, really, this is what they're
I feel
pawning
like
us
he
off
should have
on.
those things in his
He
ears where he's
does.
trying to hear
He
like the
does.
old, like
He
the
has
old
them.
school
He
1940s.
has
recording.
them on the sidelines.
Does he really? Oh, I knew it.
And he's got the focals with the focals. He's got the double focals.
They clip or magnetize, right? Or something
Hey,
like
listen, by December, we can sit on his lap and ask him for something fantastic on the 25th.
Like he's
I don't
prescribed.
understand.
He's prescribed
He's great.
oil.
that.
Really?
His head coaching career did not work out all that well.
No, Jay's brother whipped him in the playoffs because he knew everything
Yeah.
he was running from the season before, while Bruce Allen had both of them under
Dr.
his
Callahan.
tutelage.
Hey,
What are
Dr.
we
Callahan,
doing?
making a house call.
What are we doing?
He's gonna bring this one home for 10 weeks with this crowd. So listen. Here's what I want to just make sure everybody. I always try to do a public
Don't
service
laugh. It looks
announcement.
like you're, like, on
A
the
public
first-
service announcement.
Bite your inside of your cheek right now with one side of your
We
teeth.
always do this. We make sure to let people understand. Because I saw a headline today, a national headline, talking about a franchise has hit rock bottom. This is someone who has no idea what they're talking about. Has never been a Washington Redskins fan for one of the last 20 years, if not longer. Let me explain something to you guys about what rock bottom is for the Washington Redskins. It's undefined. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. It's a unicorn mated with a dragon. It lives in the middle of a rainbow. Because rock bottom is always about 2 floors below where we currently are, and it is always on its way. And we are just the most wondrous of explorers, because we find it 100% of the time. And I just want everyone to understand. Everyone thinks, oh yeah, we're going to win this game against Miami, and then we're going to be 1-5, and there's going to be this, and there's going to be that. Guess what?
Well, there's going to be the Jets eventually.
The
but that's
Miami
about
Dolphins
it.
can beat us. We
course
better
they can.
freaking beat the freaking. Where
I'm
do
with
people
you,
get
but-
off thinking we can beat the Miami Dolphins?
Well, apparently Vegas has.
Am I
Because how'd you like to be the Miami
am I
Dolphins?
experiencing Ken
We are
Marangolo-
favored to beat them.
Am I experiencing Ken Marangolo truly feeling that? I mean,
Yeah.
this is bad.
Oh no.
is
I'm
bad,
just
Ken.
I'm letting people understand that
We're in trouble.
I'm hardened.
We're in trouble.
My heart is
Ken
hardened to
Marangolo
this.
is turning negative.
It's almost worse.
Listen,
he's turning negative.
Indifference has made me disgusted.
Yeah. The stadium, if I hadn't been in FedEx Field a number of times over the last 20 years, the Monday Night Pittsburgh game, the Kansas City Chiefs snow game, where literally I counted the rest of the people there were there with me. And it was terrible weather, and it was a disgusting game. But
The
it
whole
was a
East
low
Coast
point.
had that snowstorm. I watched it on TV, and
Yeah.
yes, you're good to count, and you're good to be there.
And the Giants game last year, and with a couple of others sprinkled in between, that has really sucked a lot of life out. But it's also made me totally clear-eyed, wide-eyed. I still love football. I'm still the guy, watching it on Sundays, and it's still appointment viewing. And of course, I'm
I
going
watch
to watch
every
Redskins
second.
football.
Every second.
Of course, I am. But I can honestly tell you that we are not as bad as we're going to be in this go round. When we had the ends of eras, guys, like we dabbled in the Marty situation, we dabbled in the Joe Gibbs situation, we dabbled in a Spurrier sell job, we've dabbled in the high splash free agency, the come downs from all of those situations. We always thought, if we did this thing, we can get this thing. And sometimes, one time we got it with the change from Serrato, but the thing about where we are right now is there's no steps from where the Redskins are to viability in the NFL. from where we are right now. Like it does. It's
No, you know what? There's
impossible.
a fucking moat in the way.
There's a
moat.
moat. People are
in
all
the
talking about
way,
moats.
and
That's
we
why he
got
wants
get
to
rid
build a
of the
freaking moat around his new stadium.
He does.
And let me say this:
He wants a moat.
the one thing I want to do is, as you get drafted by a Redskins, I want the Redskins players to come into this situation to understand this. There's nothing you did. You young men are in your 21 to 35-year-old range. You don't understand what's happened to us around here. We love the players, but we're not there, and it's not because of you. And I understand when
yeah.
the players are like, hey, there
there's
was
no
no one here,
adult
that
in
other team took
charge.
over. You have to understand, the players have to understand what's happened. What has happened? We love the guys in the field. We're going to watch them on TV because we don't want to give this piece of it any of our fucking loot.
You know, and to that point, can I just say, stop saying the players got to stop saying.
But they don't know any
be
better, and they deserve to be
Don't
able
be
to.
a fan later. They
I'm-
just gotta
I
stop
know,
it.
but they don't
Because
know any
of-
better.
because of what you're saying.
But they don't know any
Because
better,
of what
T.
you're saying. I
How
know.
could they?
Because
How
of
could
what
they
you're saying,
understand
though.
this, right? But when we're not there, they have to look and be like, oh my God, what the hell? Well, listen, there's one man responsible, and this one man has been too cowardice to stand up and take a position. We've made that clear. We don't need to beat a dead horse. But when Daniel Snyder sits up there and says, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing, and which will never happen.
No, that's not
but
happening.
but listen, that's a start to convincing him to sell this bad boy, or else we got to get somebody to take care of his ass.
We're one step closer to that. I don't know how many steps are part of that process, but we need to get. There needs to be there's a period of time that has to just happen from now until at least until this offseason, because there's no way for the Redskins are not a solvent business right now. They don't do anything right. They don't do anything well. The only thing they do well is survive. And then the NFL, surviving means cashing $250 million checks because of TV revenue. So that's all they're doing. They're warm bodies, and they're becoming exceedingly rich because
But
of
when
it.
you talk about Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Terry McLaurin,
Yeah.
these are
I love
guys.
Terry McLaurin.
These are guys that have a chance if we make a move sooner than later. These are guys that we have right here to start from, to start this rebuild or whatever the hell you want to call it, escape from hell. I don't know,
Yes.
but it's not going to happen if we continue doing it this way. There's no chance. There's no chance unless this guy just backs off and says, "Here's someone of the greatest, Louis Riddick. Come
Louis
in
Riddick is the
and,
guy.
and plug everything in." We talked about, I want it to be Byron Leftwich, the next man. If we have a Louis Riddick, Byron Leftwich situation with Dwayne Haskins, I'm telling you, that gives hope.
I
forget
will give you
Doug.
hope.
Doug.
And,
Absolutely.
Doug,
but that gives us hope.
Hopefully Doug's
there's
in
hope. There is hope. Right now, I see no hope. For the first time in my life, the last
I know.
6 weeks, I felt no hope.
And Kevin, so part of that no hope scenario is we have $161 million right now wrapped up in salary cap next season. 15 to Norman. We still have Trent Williams under contract. We still have Jordan Reed under contract. We
Sheriff
still
is
have
a
money
big
to
question
Vernon
mark.
Davis. We'd love to give Sheriff some money.
Yeah,
he's not
he's
even sure he
gone.
wants to take it.
He's gonna be gone.
So my biggest problem
you
with
had an
why
out, wouldn't you take it?
My biggest problem with why we are where we are is because we're not rebuilding. This isn't a rebuild. The Washington Redskins are not involved in a rebuild right now. You know what a rebuild looks like? What Miami's doing. That's what a rebuild looks like. What we're doing is a crap in your bed.
We're not
every
smart
day.
enough to
That's
tank,
we're
is what
doing.
you're saying. We're not going to tank
we
off
gotta- we
against
gotta- we
Miami.
gotta start
We're
looking
going
in
to
the
beat
mirror.
Miami by 1 point, and it's going to cost us summer day. Well, I don't care about that crap.
Wait until the smile on Bruce Allen's face when he
I
tries
will.
to tries to told you so on us for beating the Miami Dolphins. That's going to be fun.
I will.
That's going to be special, by the way. I told you guys. We were solid.
He told us about the culture that you have no idea about.
Keeps
You
using
have
that word.
No idea about what the culture is. You have never ever sat at the Metro waiting in Northern Virginia ever in your entire life.
Nope.
You've never walked the streets of DC on a Monday 20 years ago and everyone was just brothers in arms and
Yep.
the Skins won. It was going to be a good week and everyone was dapping each other up. You don't know what the culture is. You sit up there drinking booze with Mr. freaking Shrinkster. What's it called? What are those things you used to put in the oven? Shrinky Dink.
Shrinky Dinks.
Yeah.
Actually, I think
he's at Burgundy and Gold.
has,
Shrinky Dink.
AGH has re-nicknamed Daniel Snyder.
I
too.
know. I can't use his words.
You
but-
can't? Okay, well.
No, I don't think they're.
Go to the chat and see. 'Cause
Nah.
I think it's pretty fun.
I think it's hysterical. Look, he's just a little guy.
I've said a lot of bad
He's
things
just a little
tonight.
guy. Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to come back next Tuesday night and talk about a little bit about the Miami game, a lot about the direction of the team after 1 week of the Bill Callahan era, which is just absurd. to even
Hey, I'm
say
rooting my
out
butt off for a
loud.
W against Miami. I want
Of
Terry
course.
McLaurin to get 3 touchdowns, 210 yards, and have a day.
I don't want to go winless. I don't want to be the winless. I don't want that
People
on
are talking
our
about
record.
the tanking. Listen, anyone that roots for losing, you got other problems in life.
other
I'm sorry.
problems in life.
That's how I feel. And
nor
that's just
will
my
I bet on
opinion.
the Miami
I could be
Dolphins.
wrong, but I can't stand it. I
right.
want Burgundy
No.
and Gold to win on Sunday because I have a son.
They have to.
We have to teach life lessons here.
Yep.
And no life lesson should ever be taught that says it'd be better if we lose because there's a chance we could get a better player because there's no guarantees on anything. The only guarantee is you lost or you won.
That's called Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I agree.
The only guarantee is
You
Bruce
lose
Allen
your
makes
win.
that pick.
You
So
lose your win. You deal with it.
Take the extra. Take the wins. All right, till next week. He's Tim Strachan.
Things are going to get better
Things are going to get better.
because they only can get better.
Be careful.
Unless
There's a trap door.
Unless I listen to Kid Mangolo.
I'm just saying. I'm okay about it. I'm like I'm ready for it. I'm ready for. I have supplies. That closet has like enough whiskey to last. We're gonna be okay, guys. I got blankets. I got pillows.
You're a
Coach Turner's
doomsday
here.
prepper.
Well, yes, for Redskins Doomsday, we're completely ready for it. We're gonna, and I know we're gonna come out better at the end. All I'm saying is let's just really
Someday.
be together on this, everybody. And
Someday.
everyone
It'll
needs
get
to
better.
just be strong. No infighting. Let's all stay together. We are in this together. And all I'm trying to tell people is, listen. If you think it's bad now, it's probably going to be a lot worse. But we're going to get through it.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
What are you going to do in 3 weeks when I hammeredly pop out of your liquor closet screaming, supplies?
We need more whiskey.
and it's
We
all
need
over.
more whiskey.
There's no more whiskey. Like at that point,
Benjamin drank it all.
Yeah.
Benjamin, he
They-
drank.
they
He
grab the
always
creek, buddy.
He does it every time. All right, he's Kevin Ricca.
Yeah, it was awesome to be here doing this. I love my Redskins on the field. Got to figure out those guys in the front office and the ownership. Well, that's for all of us to discuss. But
Until next Tuesday night, I'm Ken Marangolo, and this was the Audible. All right, still alive. Still alive.
still live.
Darren's got it.
Still live.
AGH, good to see you. Eric, James,